Hello everyone, my name is Riku, and I'm going to be discussing the changes made to Azrael in BlazBlue Essential Fiction 2.0. The patch is coming out later this month. I believe it may hit arcades soon. They said something about it being August 3rd, I believe, so we'll be seeing Jubei August 3rd. I believe that is the release date for arcades. However, for the patch for consoles, that's going to be later this month, I believe. So, we're going to go straight down the list. For Azrael, not getting very many changes. 2D, very important, is getting a buff. It now pulls in on hits. So, linking on the weak point version is going to be made much easier for characters with smaller hitboxes like Rachel, Coco, and Carl. And fixing this particular problem, where if you're at a certain distance from a character with a smaller hitbox, it will just whiff 2B entirely. Of course, it's very specific, and then on aerial, of course, it would knock them away. But yes, the 2B would whiff there. And it is a link, so you really need to learn the timing, but if you're late on the link, then of course it's gonna whiff. But on characters like Hakumen, Tiger, Bang, Azrael, this would link anyway, so you won't have to optimize your combos based on matchups anymore, which is nice. Just, you know, based on 2B, which is cool. 3D and 6D getting better frame advantage on hits for the non-weak point versions, of course. So better Oki options on wake up. You might be able to squeeze in 2C safely, or even, I don't know, 6C, even though that's just gigantic DP bait as it is, but better Oki options. And then, of course, they're changing the animation for the weak point version. I'm not sure how they're changing it, but they're saying they're altering how far they're being blown away, so I guess it's improving spacing for characters with smaller hitboxes, which, again, isn't going to be that big of an issue in 2.0. But, all in all, sounds like a pretty good buff. I'm alright with that. As long as it's specific only to hit, because on block, as it stands, oops, the only drive that Azrael has that's plus on block is, of course, 2D. And personally, I think it needs to remain that way. So, I don't know. As long as it's only on hit, I'm okay with these having better frame advantage, as well as 2D having better frame advantage on hit. So, as long as that's what they mean, I'm comfortable with that change. Growler getting another nerf. Seems it's not going to be affected by dash inertia, so you may not be able to buffer it in the middle of a dash and then cancel it. Not that great if it's canceled, but Sentinel won't be affected, of course, so this might be made more difficult to do. You have to wait for the dash to lose its inertia before you can throw the special. I think is what they're going for. If not, then I assume they mean this nonsense. So maybe as soon as you start a Valiant combo, if you throw out a Growler too soon, then you just drop your combo, which I guess is okay. It was mostly used as a hit confirm near the end of the Valiant combo anyway. Anyway, I'm okay with that change. And the startup duration is also being buffed. So, if you get yourself, if you're in the corner and you think, ooh, Growler, alright, that's hit, you might be able to increase or optimize your combo based on that. You might be able to get full starter even. You might be able to do the DP version. Of course I messed that up. But you might be able to get the DP route off of Growler, but depending on the changes they're making to the DP, that may no longer be a thing, and I'll get to that in a moment. Alright, and Valiant and Hornet are getting nerfed once again. They've been buffed in this version, and now they're going to get immediately nerfed. It says the duration for the Fatal Counterversion mid-combo is going to be decreasing, or increasing actually. So, I imagine they're going to be nerfing this particular combo route, involving 5B straight into Valiant, forcing a Fatal, because you know, that would lead to some interesting setups. Of course, forcing a fatal mid combo is a tricky thing to do, but it's just going to be decreasing his damage by maybe 500 or a full 1k. Really not that big a difference for Azrael. It's nothing to be too concerned about. If you're concerned that this particular combo chain is not going to be optimal anymore, I don't think it's going to be much to worry about. I really don't. It's still worth going for. You're going to get the knockdown, you're going to get the corner, and you're going to get another weak point, and using overdrive has its advantages, of course. So we're going to be losing a little bit of damage off that route, I imagine, but not much. And let's get to my favorite topic of this patch. Azrael's DP, the one thing that many people complain about, myself included, is getting a nerf on the startup. It's going to be slower on startup. However, the invuln, I imagine, is going to remain for until about that point in the animation. I imagine that, I think that's when he loses invuln, is right when the hitbox becomes active. And I imagine what they're doing is enabling characters with a quicker jab. Maybe for Azrael as well. If you're in an Azrael mirror, you might be able to stick out a jab to pressure him on wake up, and then revert to guard to properly bait the DP. And the first hit is also getting a buff where it knocks the opponent further away, making the second hit much easier to confirm. Because occasionally, if your opponent's super jumping in, it would knock them in such a way that it would knock them far away from Azrael, and since the first hit does have enough hit stun to where it will last until Azrael's animation finishes, you would be at a disadvantage, especially if you're fighting a zoner like Rachel here. It would be about this distance away most of the time, and you would also be facing the other way, so you have to take that into account. And it's just, you know, it wasn't really that big of an issue, but if it would happen occasionally when they're fixing that up. So making it easier, the second hit confirm is much more favorable for Azrael because they're once again right in front of him, and I have to get another mix up as well, or go straight into 5B pressure. So that's a nice change. And very important, if you properly bait the DP, oops, not random, if you properly bait the DP, the second hit will not hit behind Azrael, because, let's see, oops, let me wrap it back. DP Azrael. The falling animation here does have a hitbox behind it, and occasionally people would bait the DP and then run in too soon and then get bopped by the second hit and then not be able to punish properly. So if you bait the DP, you are going to be able to freely run in and punish Azrael properly. That is excellent. That is a change that needed to happen, because people would bait the DP and then run in too soon and then get bopped by the second hit, which is just completely unfair and invalidates the bait entirely. Now, this change, this following change, I'm really not sure I understand what their purpose is. Blackhawk Stinger, during these frames here, during the charge, is getting a guard point. However, Azrael will it says that he will withstand attacks but still receive damage. Let's hope it's full damage from the attack. However, it just allows the attack to activate. It doesn't outright interrupt it during the charge. I believe what their intent with this is to allow Azrael to use this little wake-up option, and I do not understand that, because he already has a meter reversal and he has a DP, and this meter reversal has invuln on startup, as well as giving him 2 marks once it hits, which, as we all know, 1 mark for Azrael can change the dynamic of the match. 2 marks will allow him to dominate the match. So, giving Blackhawk Stinger armor, I'm not really sure I'm okay with that. Maybe it's to make closing in on the opponent if they're throwing a projectile out easier. Maybe you could time it to where the projectile hits you right during this frame here, and then you get a free, not necessarily free approach, but a decent approach, because Blackhawk Stinger does cover, Blackhawk Stinger does cover more distance than Two Stop, I believe. It does it covers about this distance here. So, and place him about here, which is great distance for Azrael, because it's close enough for 5B. Excuse me. I don't know. I'm not sure it's a sensible change, in my opinion. And then the overdrive version is getting the same startup animation as the non-overdrive version. Which, once again, I don't really understand. I guess it's to make matches go faster, or make... I'm able to link out of, like, 2C or something, I don't know. Because the animation doesn't change. The opponents do not... Whoops. The opponents do not move during this animation here, so... And the overdrive gauge doesn't decrease until the attack activates. So on that frame, or actually a few frames before that, but once the charge ends, the attack will immediately come out, and then the battle resumes. So, I'm not sure. So that's basically all there is to Azrael. Most of it's remaining the same. Well, we'll see once the patch hits arcades, and then we'll get to see it in action. And then, of course, we'll finally get Jubei. I've been asking when Jubei since Calamity Trigger. Since that game first came out, I experienced a story, and I was like, that character played by Kirk Thornton, I want to play him. Now he's no longer played by Kirk Thornton, but we still get the character. Who knew? And that is about it for Azrael. The changes made for Central Fiction 2.0 coming out later this month in August 2017. Super hype.